Hello, everybody. I am Brother Luke. Welcome to this Wednesday Bible study for the Church of the Eternally Secure, C.E.S. We're studying the book of Revelation, and we're in chapter 13, verse 11. So get your Bibles ready. We'll start that in a minute. Renee's not here yet, so I'll start just saying hello to everybody until she gets here. No, Gary let us know that he's not going to be able to be with us and tonight. We'll miss you, Gary. Especially I miss you putting a smile on my face. It's a wonderful gift when you can make someone smile and laugh. And Lamonia May is here. Lamonia May says, hello, brothers and sisters. Sister Linda. Glenn. Brother says, hello, Gary. LOL, Lamonia May. Hello, everyone. And Alexis is here too. Tove, hi, brother. Nate's here. Hi, brother. And Songbird. What am I thinking about Songbird? There's something with Songbird. It was in our last, on Sunday, it came up. I think it was... You needed a prayer request at the end. We're trying to remember what it was. I forgot what it was, but we did ask everybody to pray for you. I assume that was you. I hope you're doing better now. And Leaf's here too. Let me see. Hey, Donna Bianco. Hi. Great to see you, sister. I think I've missed you lately, Donna. I don't remember seeing you around lately. I hope you've been well. Michael Anderson here. Hi, brother. And Nate says, hi, Luke. All right. Well, I haven't heard anything from Renee. If she can't make it, she always lets me know. So I'm assuming she's on her way, but just running late. So if she's doesn't come, then won't do the Revelation study. We'll have to talk about something else. But I had an interesting experience today. This happened to me about a year ago too. I woke up and looked at my clock, and it was 6:25. And I thought, oh no, I can't believe it. I forgot to set my alarm. Here's Renee now. Yeah, there she is. Hi.
Hey, sorry, I have company, and sorry I'm a few minutes late.
I was just telling them about the little thing that happened this morning. I'll share that real quick, and then we'll get started. So I wake up at 6:25. And I realized that I only have 5 minutes before the Bible starts. The study starts at 6:30. So I'm in a panic. I come in here. I'm not even dressed. And I'm trying to get the program set up. And then I realized I called Renee and sent her a text. And where's she?
Yeah, it woke me up, and I was like, "What's going on? What's going on?" And I was like, "Oh."
Why didn't Renee contact me? I said, it's the last minute now. I'm in a panic. And then I looked at my computer clock and it said 6:30 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And I woke up at 6:30 a.m. I thought it was 6:30 p.m.
See, I've done it on the wrong night, but not a.m. p.m. I've done it like on a Thursday or a Tuesday, thinking it's Wednesday.
Yeah.
But that was funny. I remember because I didn't wake all the way up. I didn't go to sleep until I was up editing my daily dose, and then did another short till 6:30 this morning. So I laid down, and I had my alarm set for like 9:40 something. And I swear I heard the phone ring, and I was like, oh, it wasn't my alarm. It's not quite 9:40. It was that. And I got to say, what's going on? What's going on? But when then I got your text, I was like, oh, he thought it was nighttime. Yeah. I'm used to it. My mama will call. Remember, she'll think it's the AM when it's the PM and vice versa.
Yeah, it's weird. It happened to me a year ago, and I was so confused. I looked at my medications and I thought, did I already take my medications? Did I miss it or what? So I called up the advice nurse and explained it, what was going on. And she was so concerned, she sent the paramedics over. And
Oh
they came
no.
over and they did a bunch of tests and checked my brain to see if I had a stroke and anything.
Well, you
And
have a history, so they want to make sure it's okay, you know.
yeah, but
No, that's just Luke being Luke. Y'all go
yeah.
home.
All right. Well, I said hi to everybody, Renee. You want to say greet them and then we can get
Well,
started?
I love you all, but we have very limited time. I want to make sure we get to the content. So I love you all and thank you all for being here. And I promise when on Sundays when we have more time, I will. Hey, Michael made it! Yay! And my
Yeah.
Muppet's here. Hey, Nathan. So happy to see everyone. I'm sorry I'm not going to be able to say personally to each one of you, but I hope to talk to you guys individually tonight and see what your comments are. Where's old Tommy at? Tommy got the book so he could follow along with us.
Yeah. I don't
Hey,
see
Donna.
him.
Good to
I don't
see
see
her.
him here
Donna's
yet.
here, Brother Luke. Songbird, welcome.
Yeah. Renee, we're on page 350. It's
Okay.
chapter 13, verse 11 through
All right,
15.
I'm grabbing it.
Would you like to read the scriptures and then we'll go into the different interpretations?
Sure. What? It's chapter. Hold on. 13.
Yeah, it's page 350 in the book, and it's chapter 13, verse 11 through 15.
All righty. I'm pulling up King James real quick because it doesn't roll off my tongue the right way if I don't read it with the King James, because I've never read any other versions like as a study guide, so I get confused when I don't have a familiar language. Let me see. I'm going to turn my camera back on. Hold on one sec. Boo, boo, boo. Okay. There we go.
11 through
Alrighty.
15.
I didn't get to invite anybody on my channel. So once I read this, I'll be listening, but I'm going to go put the invite link. Okay.
Okay. I'll
Because I
put it
want
on
to
the
let
screen
people
right now.
know. Let's see. All right. So Revelation 13. And it's really being slow because freaking internet, man. Sorry, it's still loading. Okay. Now, all right. What verse do I start at? I'm sorry.
Verses 11 through 15.
11
I've
through
got it
15.
highlighted on the screen if you want to use that.
Got it. You asking me with my cataracts if I can see that? All right.
Okay.
And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And oh yes, I changed my nails, so I got a cross here representing. I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he exerciseth all power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast. Earth, I wonder if that means land, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which has the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And we end there, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
interesting because there's so many views on what this means. And I want to remind everybody, we are looking at a vision. We are looking at something that symbolizes something else. So what we're seeing in the vision is happening in the vision, but the interpretation of it is not literal. Like there's not going to be a literal beast that, that it represents a nation or a man that runs the nation. So I just want to be clear on it, because when we have these images that are not quite as extraordinary, these are extraordinary with beasts and dragons. But when we have things like two witnesses or whatever, people seem to forget that it's still symbolic and try to make it literal. And then they, you know what I mean? So I want to just remind everyone that the vision is a picture of something else. And that's what we're going to discuss, what those things mean. So I am interested to see how the positions differ. Interesting.
All right. Well, if in case anybody's new here tonight, what the approach we're taking, we're going through Revelation verse by verse, but we're not just looking at it from one perspective. We're considering it from three different viewpoints: the preterist, the futurist, and the idealist. We started off including the historicist, but that viewpoint's almost obsolete today. So we've narrowed it down to just these three. So I'm going to read you how the preterist would interpret these verses next. And this is the viewpoint that I hold. And it's the idea that most of what we read again, the book of Revelation, is about what happened to Israel, Jerusalem, and the temple in the first century. Okay, so the preterist would say, while the beast from the sea is not difficult to identify, the same cannot be said for the second beast, who rises up out of the earth or land. Preterist expositors have advanced at least three positions. The most frequently encountered view suggests that this beast is a symbol for the, quote, cult of the emperor, unquote. That is, that organized force within the empire that sought to enforce the worship of the Caesars. The second beast, two horns like a lamb, verse 11, suggests a religious nature more than a political one. Among those who make this identification is David Clark. He says, quote, this suggests religious activities, and so this second beast is rightly recognized as the pagan religion or pagan priesthood.
Mhm.
The pagan, oops. I got my pages sticking together. Yeah, they're sticking together. For some reason, I can't get these two pages. There it is. Okay. The pagan religion gave animus to the persecution of those who did not worship at the heathen shrines and was hand in glove with the civil power in persecuting the Christian church, unquote. J. Adams concurs. He says, quote, the symbolism probably depicts the cult of the emperor, which was very strong in Asia Minor. That area is actually Turkey, where the seven churches were located. This cult demanded emperor worship, unquote. A second opinion is that of J. Stuart Russell, who considers the rising of the beast out of the land to necessitate a geographical origin in Israel. Russell affirms, quote, he can be no more than the Roman procurator or governor of Judea under Nero, and the particular governor must be sought at or near the outbreak of the Jewish war, unquote. The two candidates would seem qualified by these criteria to be second beast, Albinus and Gessius Florus. The latter being the better possibility, writes Russell, quote, each was a monster of tyranny and cruelty, but the latter outdid the former. Before Gessius Florus came into office, the Jews counted Albinus the worst governor who had ever ground them by his oppression. After Gessius Florus came, they thought Albinus almost a virtuous man in comparison. Unquote. Russell is quite prepared to defend his opinion against those who might object that the particular actions of the second beast are not known to correspond to those of Gessius Florus. He writes, quote, Josephus indeed has not preserved all the facts, which, if we had them, would no doubt vividly illustrate all the particulars of the apocalyptic portraiture of the second beast. But we scarcely need them. Force, fraud, cruelty, imposture, tyranny are attributes which too certainly might be predicted of such a procurator as Florus. Perhaps the traits most difficult to verify are those that relate to the compulsory enforcement of homage to the emperor's statue and the assumption of miraculous pretensions. Yet even here, all we know is in favor of the description being true to the letter, unquote. A third possible identification of the second beast is that of David Chilton, who, like Russell, states that the coming of the beast, quote, out of the land, unquote, must refer to Israel, but sees his appearance like a lamb to be a reference to false prophets. Jesus said, quote, beware of the false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravenous wolves, unquote. This beast is later called, quote, the false prophet, unquote, in Revelation. Chilton seems to take the beast here to represent the Jewish religious system and leadership collectively as a false agent of God. Upon the points that this beast exercises all the authority of the first beast in verse 12 and exercises supernatural powers, Chilton writes, quote, the Jewish leaders, symbolized by this beast from the land, join forces with the beast of Rome in an attempt to destroy the church. The book of Acts records several instances of miracle-working Jewish false prophets who came into conflict with the church and worked under Roman officials. As Jesus foretold, some of them even used his name in their incantations, unquote. The making of an image to the beast in verse 14, or an image of the beast in verse 15, the giving breath to the image and the requirement that all men worship it are difficult features to correlate with any action known to have occurred in Israel in the first century. This need not be taken literally, however, and can simply refer to the Jews' general homage to Rome's authority, as Chilton observes, unquote. Quote, the idolatrous character of the apostate Israel is assumed throughout the message of the New Testament. The Apostle Paul specifically accuses the Jews of lawlessness and apostasy in Romans 2. In verses 21 and 22, he says, quote, you therefore who teach another, do you not teach yourself? You who abhor idols, do you rob temples? Interesting. The very first of those is the way that I look at it. But the second one seems it was quite interesting, but I'm not familiar with it. Have you heard of that one before, Renee?
No.
Those two procurators, Flores and Albinus, I've never heard.
The character of apostasy is assumed throughout the message of the Apostle Paul specifically accused the Jews of lawlessness and apostasy. In verse, he says, you therefore being any more than a what? Hold on. I gotta see. I'm not sure I agree with what he's saying there. Hold on. Where's the continuation? That's it?
Yeah, no, it's just at the page.
Teach another. I see it. Yeah. Well, I didn't see it like that. I saw it like he was saying that their hypocrisy, and I didn't feel like he was saying they were all apostate and lawless. He's just saying that nobody keeps the law despite their thinking they do. That's what I always thought they was saying.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
You're going to accuse pagans of not, keeping the law, but you got the law. You don't keep it either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm a little surprised that they didn't go into the verses talking about how he was wounded and so on. I thought that would have been an important thing to cover too.
Yeah, me too.
So you've heard us say this before, but we think that the beast can be understood as the empire, the government, the powers that are oppressing the people, or the leader of the powers, the emperor. So it could be Nero, could be known as the beast, or his empire, Rome, which is the powers that he's using.
Yeah, see, I said the same thing. Out of the land. That's the same. Yeah, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. So and then when you look at the false prophet, we haven't got to that here, but we've got the beast and the false prophet and the beast being ridden by the woman. These things are all interrelated. I guess we'll probably get to more of that later. But so I think the first of those three is what I would I'm pretty confident in. Let me see if anybody in the chat room has. If you have anything to say about this, everybody, put in all caps. That way I know you want to be part of the conversation. I want you guys to engage with us and give us your feedback, if you don't mind, but put it in all caps so that you're actually doing that instead of just visiting with each other, okay?
And Jesus says, calls it the synagogue of Satan. So, yeah, I think that beast is a religious system. I'd say that. But the beast is different than the woman. The woman is actually Israel that's a prostitute and all of that. So the beast, could it possibly be? Because the beast is not riding the beast. You get what I'm saying? It's like the woman rides the beast and the beast devours her. So they can't be both. So,
I don't think that the beast
it
is
a
religious.
false religious system. I think it represents the false when it's saying we want the false prophet. Like I was saying this guy's view that you just read, that David Chilton says that is referring to Israel sees his appearance like a lamb, but they are false prophets. They look like they'd be of God, and I do see that, Brother Luke. I do see that the Jewish people were supposed to, because we see the fig tree that Jesus curses is a picture of it. Hey, you shouldn't look like you're about to bear fruit and bear none. It looks, you're appearing on the outside to be God's people, but you're not. You're not.
Yeah.
So I'm confused at how they come to this, because it's saying the coming of the beast out of the land refers to Israel. So I don't. I'd have to look at that again, because I can't have the beast riding the beast. It has to be. You know what I'm saying? It's just not sitting right.
Yeah. So to kind of clarify how I see this, the beast in this verse here and throughout the scriptures, when he's referring to the beast is just the authorities that you are aligned with, rather than being aligned with Jesus. Okay. Because we all have a choice. We can say, I'm on Jesus's side. Jesus is Lord. I'm with him. And whatever it costs me, okay, I'm not going to, if I can't buy or sell, if you're going to kill me, it doesn't matter. We overcome him, the beast, by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So people were willing to die rather than be on this side, switch sides and say, well, I'll recount my faith in Jesus. Instead, I'll be on the side of the emperor so that I can buy and sell. And so I think, and that's even true today and throughout history, there's always been a beast system. Even before this time in 70 AD, during this time in 70 AD, and all the centuries following it, we've always had a beast system that people can either align with, or you can say, I don't want my allegiance to be with the government. I want my allegiance to be with Jesus. Okay.
For instance, if they were to personify this nation, it might say a beast that looks like a lion with the wings of an eagle, and it's made of what is it? Iron, because we have a strong military force, and we come from Britain originally, so the lion, and then the wings of an eagle. So it might describe our nation if in its worldly sense like that. I see it just as any kingdom not ruled by, in the kingdom of heaven. It's the Lord is not at the head of it. It's the way of the world. And what I'm talking about, Brother Luke, is it talks about another beast, like right in the beginning. So I don't want to get confused because there's two beasts in this thing. And because it says, I saw another beast coming up out of the earth. So, or out of the land. To me, that would be Israel's religious system that they had brought back from Babylon with them. Because, they left Babylon. Babylon didn't leave them or whatever. So the religious system is still steeped in that beast with the head of gold that they bring out. And so I do agree with Chilton in that aspect, that if we want to talk about the second beast coming up out of the earth, I'd say it's the second beast in the land that is from their time in Babylon and from rejecting Christ. Because it says he had two horns like a lamb, but spoke like a dragon. And Jesus flat out said it's the synagogue of Satan. So I do think that that second beast that comes up, it says earth, but I think it's land, would make sense. And then he exercises all the authority of the first beast in his presence and causes the earth or land and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast. So the deadly, it is Israel's religious system, because it does have the people bow down to Rome as their leaders.
Well, to me, it's clear that the false prophet is Israel's Judaism, rejecting Christ and sticking with Judaism.
Yes.
And also the woman, the prostitute, riding the beast, that's the same thing. It's Israel,
the nation,
Jesus, saying Judaism, not Jesus.
Yes.
That's the woman and that's the false prophet. But the second beast here, that's interesting, because I have never thought about that before. But
because it says that the beast comes up out of the land and it has two horns that's why I wanted to discuss it, because I didn't realize it either till you started reading that there's actually two beasts here, and it could be confusing because one of these beasts is called referenced as a false religious system. So I'm interested.
We got some feedback here in the congregation. Leaf says, I think the beast is a corporation.
Well, we got to go by what the Bible says. It says it's a nation every time. So
but even if we were going to say that it's enterprise,
the way of the world,
business, money, economics.
Way of the world.
That it wouldn't be just one corporation. You would have to expand it to all the businesses. People are the system, the financial system. So I can see it, understanding it that way.
Yes, absolutely, Leaf. It's but when he's saying the beast in general, we go back to the book of Daniel, which describes every time these beasts are mentioned, it is a nation. So we're going to stick with that line of thinking. And you're right, because the financial system and businesses, they all are part of that beast system, and they work on the same principle. Like for Brother Luke and I and yourself, we are in the kingdom of heaven. So to us, we would believe, hey, you want to be great, make yourself the least. You'll have more, give it away. But the earth, the world system says take, hoard. The more they got to get less, so I got to get more. Force, violence, and force. It's just a different mindset. It's a complete. And this is why so many people rejected Christ, because they had the same idea as Muhammad did, as the song. And one of the things that Jim found, remember, it was in the Wisdom of Solomon, is it was such a specific prophecy. But right afterwards, it says if somebody were really of God, they said that he would help him get down off the cross, or that he would deliver him. But right afterwards, it says, and they were mistaken. They were wrong, because that is not what God said. They're assuming through the world's eyes that God is going to be glorified and seem victorious by, overthrowing everything through force. But that is not how he works. He does it through drawing people, seducing them through the love he has and his humility and self-sacrifice. So it's completely foreign, and that is why they reject it, because it's not of this beast system. And all the religions reject it for the same reason, because they're of the world.
Yeah, and I would say that this idea of a mark of the beast is that there's always been people who had this mark of the beast. The mark of the beast simply means you're identifying with, rather than with God, with the powers of that being, instead of being on God's side. So you're marked as one of his. The beast is the system.
What you believe in the right hand is authority.
Yeah. And then, of course, when we put our faith in Jesus, we get marked as belonging to God instead of being belonging to the system. Now, Michael Anderson says, I think the empire is the beast, not necessarily a person.
It's not a person in this case.
Yeah, but it also, there is an individual that is called the beast.
The second beast.
You'll know him, you'll be able to identify him by a number, 666. So they use that, what is that called when you use numbers to name?
Gematria.
Yeah, gematria. Everybody use gematria. That means that, like, the best way of knowing it is seeing it is the Roman way of writing. Their letters also were numbers. Like the V is 5, the X is 10. The I is 1, and so on. So in the Roman numeral system, you can change every number relates to a letter and vice versa. So there's a system where they take a person's name and translate it into a numeric.
You add up all the numbers of his name spelled out, and it adds up to. That's why he said, "Let him who have the wisdom calculate the number of the beast." They're adding together all the letters of his name, and it will come out to 600.
So in that case, Michael, this beast, you recognize who the beast is by this number, is referring to an individual. And so you might think of as the empire as the beast, and the emperor as the head of the beast. Okay?
Absolutely.
Then he says, Michael says, the church woman rides the beast.
Israel rides the beast.
Not the church, though. The church is not on riding the beast. It's Israel's religious system.
Yeah, because God brings wrath down on this prostitute.
Yeah. And then Sheila says, wouldn't it make sense the original beast would be Rome, since they are originally occultic? Then Israel plays the harlot.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do this picture, Brother Luke. Brother Luke's position and my position. If I'm wrong, Brother Luke, just interrupt me and say, no, I don't think that. But I'm pretty sure we're on the same page here, that there's a beast, okay? And this woman, this mystery, Babylon the Great, mother of harlots, it's the literal Babylon, but it's laid on top of the city of Jerusalem. And so the same language is used for the sacking of Babylon, like the Euphrates River drying up. That's a picture of them sneaking in through the water system and taking it over, even without a fight. And so you see this language used. So you see the woman is the nation of Israel, including its religious system, riding the beast Rome, and the beast turns and devours her. So although she is, because, Rome owns them basically as their, overseers. And so the leaders of Israel, the religious leaders and the secular or like the civil, because it's a theocracy. They all are in cahoots and they work with Rome to keep peace. And so a lot of them were thought as traitors. So you got a lot going on here, but it's a woman riding the beast, and mystery Babylon the Great is Jerusalem. It's a mystery. Sodom and Egypt, where our Lord was crucified, and Rome is the beast that she rides, and the beast turns and devours her. So what you won't see, the church is not under wrath the church is being warned to leave when they see signs of the army around the city of Jerusalem, to get out. That's when Jesus said, don't come down. If you're on the roof, don't even come down and get a coat. Leave. Just go, because you don't have time. You got to get out of here before they lock you in, because it's going to be horrible, and there's nothing like it ever again. You're never going to see anything this bad. It was horrible, horrible. So that is identifying the woman, the mystery, and the beast. And this second beast here comes up out of the land, and it has horns like a lamb, but speaks like a dragon. And that is the religious system Brother Luke was just talking about, of the Jews that have rejected Christ.
Mm-hmm.
They're supposed to look to them as God's people, but they're not. It's a facade. And that's why the fig tree was cursed, because it looked like it was ready to bear fruit, yet nary a fruit was on it. And so it's like, well, you're cursed from the ground up. He was making a statement, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
You'll never produce again. Remember, he said you will never produce fruit again.
Yeah. Jay,
I think it's important to hear that, Brother Luke. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just thought they should, identify this.
Jay says, Luke and Renee, can you guys show on paper how that works with the beast name and numbers? I think it was Nero.
Yeah.
I'm not skillful enough to do it. Maybe Renee can do it.
Yeah, you got to write it in Koine Greek, and then you have to know what letters represent which numbers, and you add those up. And there, you can find it online, but it does add up to 666. It's not 666. It's 666, because it's not 3 6s in a row that make it remarkable. It's the sum, 366, added all together, because it's the number of his name. So all the letters in his name added up identify Nero.
Yeah.
It's an official name that he's recognized as. It's something, doesn't it have like his official title with it or something, like Emperor Nero or something like that? And
Caesar Nero.
Nero Caesar or something like that.
Yeah. Let me see. All I can suggest to you, Jay, and anybody else who's interested in this, is let me share this real quick here.
I don't have a breakdown. I can see if I have anything on my drive. Let me see. Let me see. Breakdown.
Okay, so right now I'm sharing on the Church of the Eternally Secure YouTube homepage. So if you go to that, and then you scroll down to featured channels, and you go to the Brother Luke channel here, the first one on the list. And then you scroll down a few playlists until you find the playlist 4 Views on End Times. Click on that. And this is a real comprehensive teaching on this subject, that I've got 61 videos here, probably about 50 hours of content on the end times questions. So scroll down until you find talking about this mark of the beast, 66. Here it is, 666. What does it really mean?
Yeah, I got it here.
What is the mark of the beast? These videos here will do the breakdown that you're asking for, Jay.
Yeah.
I can't do it off the top of my head, though. I don't have that kind of skill in that.
I can't write in Hebrew or Koine Greek, so I just put a little thing there explaining how it's done. It's just simply every letter in his name added together gives you the sum. It's not real complicated, but I don't know how to write in those languages. But I just put in the chat there. This is what's pulled up to break down the gematria of Nero being 666. The Hebrew transliteration of Nero Caesar is used, and it gives you the Hebrew letters there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he would have when John is writing to them, he would have assumed they knew what that meant.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate everybody giving us some feedback. It really adds to the discussion when you're involved like that.
I felt people were going to get lost if we didn't identify what we kind of agree on are these things, because it's a little confusing.
So this preterist viewpoint, even though there's not necessarily one preterist viewpoint, among preterism, there's different takes. As you saw, there are 3 different ways of understanding the second beast here.
Yeah, the wound thing, isn't it mentioned one other place? Maybe they talk about it there.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll come back. I'm gonna mark it.
But all we did was talk about the preterist. Now we got two more viewpoints to look at. What does the futurist say about these verses? What does the idealist say about it? Okay, so Renee, would you read the futurist interpretation?
Sure will. Because I listened to it, and it's easy to take things today and like apply it to make it fit, and it's very convincing until you actually know the other view. However, I'm glad we're going over the idealist view because it keeps things open for the possibility of the cyclical thing that we believe it was referring to the first century. However, open to the possibility that it's a repeated event, just like the abomination was. So let's go with futurist. I'm going to do my best to not roll my eyes inside. So sorry. I'm biased.
Wait, you already did.
I'm trying. Got to get it out my system before I start. All right. As if the appearance of the first beast did not portend enough disaster, we now see another beast, less terrifying at first sight, having only two horns like a lamb, but still very ominous, speaking like a dragon. Ryrie interprets its features in this way, quote, the horn suggests strength, though less strength. I just think it's being a lamb that is actually a dragon. And the lamb may allude to an appearance of meekness or innocence and may also indicate the character as an imitation of the Lamb of God. That's how I saw it. I saw it as the place that's supposed to have the truth and the light of the lamb, because it's all pointing to him, but instead of getting the lamb, you're getting the rejection of him with the dragon in its place. That's how I see it.
Oh, by the way, Renee, I just jumped ahead to the next portion of verses we're going to discuss if we have time tonight, and that goes into the 666 more. So
okay, good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You said 666. Good. Match it. All right, let's see. It is generally see. I don't break it down like that far. Like he's like the two horns might represent. I don't think it's like. I think it's just looks like a lamb.
Yeah.
That's it. All right. It is generally held. Sometimes things just are what they are. They're not necessarily. This beast is a religious leader or even a counterfeit messiah. See, I don't see it as an individual. I see it as a system. In contrast to the largely political character of the first beast, it seems apparent that the second beast is to be identified with the quote false prophet. Once again, Brother Luke, they're identifying this beast as an individual person because they're forgetting this is a vision representing something else. So they're going with that. Most common among futurist scholars is the opinion that this beast, like the first, is an individual. No, it's not. No, it's not. Sorry. Walford is typical of this persuasion. The identification of the second beast as the head of the apostate church. Oh, yeah, it's future. Okay. All right. I was thinking, we didn't have apostate church in the first century. Is indicated in many ways in the book of Revelation. Walford uses a lengthy quotation from Alford to imply approval of the suggestion that the beast may be the head of the Roman Catholic Church. Some believe that the second beast, it can't because it rises up out of the land. Some believe that the second beast, rather than the first, should be identified as the Antichrist. Is there even an Antichrist in Revelation?
No, the word Antichrist doesn't appear once in Revelation.
Yeah, I didn't think so. In this view, he would be a Jew posing as the long-awaited Jewish Messiah. I don't know if I agree with that. Gaebelin is of this opinion. Let's hear what Gaebelin's got to say. The second beast is a Jew. The spear of the second beast, they're close. I think it's a Jewish religious system. But the spear of the second beast is Palestine. All right, hold on. I'm not saying nothing. All right. This second beast is the final personal as opposed to the impersonal one. This one's nice. We'll shake your hand. Oh, no. He is a counterfeit lamb, and his two horns are an imitation of the priestly and kingly authority of Christ. See, it's he. He is. It's just this idea. They're stuck in it. He is the one whom our Lord spoke, John verse 43. He is the man of sin. I agree with that. The son of perdition. I agree with that. Described by Paul in 2 Thessalonians. He must be a Jew, or his claim to being Israel's true Messiah would not be accepted by the Jews. I don't remember them saying I'm the true Messiah. I don't remember that being a claim of this guy.
No.
Okay, I want to be sure, because I don't remember all.
You know what that's called, Renee? It's called.
Oh, you mean yeah?
It's called eisegesis.
Yep, sure is. Yep.
In other words, they take this idea and put it in there, even though where's the
pulling it out of your nose is what I call it. All right, let's see. Walford disputes this idea. Good, I stand with you, Walford. There is no evidence that either of the beasts is a Jew. Thank you. It would seem quite unlikely that either of the two beasts of Revelation 13 will be a Jew, inasmuch as they both persecute the Jewish people and are the final Roman rulers of the times of the Gentiles. Okay, I agree with you. Walford seems to represent the majority of dispensational interpreters when he writes, among premillennial expositors, you guys remember we talked what premillennial is, the trend seems to be to identify all of these terms, the man of sin, 2 Thessalonians, the little horn, Daniel 7, the prince that shall come, Daniel 9, all different people, I think. The willful king in Daniel 11, Antichrist in 1 John 2:18. With the first beast and relegate the second beast to a subordinate role as a religious rather than a political leader. I don't see it as a subordinate. I just see it as a separate entity. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Ryrie considers the power of the beast to make fire come down from heaven. See, I think that's referring to Elijah and his miracles. To be a deliberate, quote, duplication of the power of the two witnesses to show the world that he has much power as they had. One way in which the false prophet will corrupt religion will be. Okay, do you see? All right. I'm fine with saying maybe or could be, but this is saying will be, like it's absolutely true. So y'all be careful with hearing things, even if I'm saying it in my view, will or absolutely, because there's so many views on this. One way the false prophet will corrupt religion will be by commanding that an image to the beast in verse 14 be made and worshipped on the threat of death for non-compliance. Walford points out this image, referred to 3 times in the chapter, is mentioned 7 more times in the book of Revelation, 14, 11, 15, 16, 19, 20, and 4. In addition to requiring the construction and I whistled. Did you hear that? Supernatural miracle performed by the power of Satan, which actually gives life to the image. Or the word for breath may be translated wind and indicate some magical sleight of hand, which I'm going to faint. All right, let me see. Magical sleight of hand, which the second beast performs, that gives the appearance of real life to this image. The speech and movements of this image could easily be manufactured. This description is kind of jamming the beasts and everything together into one. I'm thinking. All right, it's just a little complicated. I think that might be why I'm confused. The intent of the passage seems to be that the image has the appearance of life manifested in breathing. What? I'm sorry, I don't understand what he's saying. The intent of the passage seems to be that the image has the appearance of life manifested in breathing, but actually it may be no more than a robot. The image is further described as being able to speak, a faculty easily accomplished by mechanical means. Okay. I'm trying, Lord, trying. These comments fail to note, however, that the very ease with which technology today can generate speech and robotic movement. You see, when they go off on these tangents to confirm that, it's like Oh yeah, that makes it. Yeah, but it's not proving that's what that means. It's just giving you info on other stuff. It's just weird. All right, let me see. In Gabelin's opinion, the image will probably be set up outside of Palestine, possibly in Rome. Most dispensationalists, however, think that this image will be set up in the rebuilt temple in Jerusalem, constituting it the blank, quote, abomination that maketh desolate. No, it says abomination of desolation. Spoken of by both Daniel in 9 and 11 and 12 and Jesus in Matthew 24. I am of the opinion Daniel doesn't need to be anywhere near this in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Let's see if there's anything in the chat about this. Now, you guys, this is the position, the interpretation that is popular in America today. The
It's a
futurist.
stretch.
This is what I learned many years ago when I first came to the faith. The idea that the book of Revelation is all about something that's still to come in our future, that there will be a rapture, a tribulation, a second coming, a millennium, and then eternity and judgment. That's the
Yeah, I was
sequence of
told the
events.
locusts were military helicopters. I was,
Right.
I mean, just so much that now I can look at it and go, okay, I understand what they're doing. They're taking things out here and saying, what could this be? What could this be? But I'd rather go with what was he talking about? Like, what for real was he talking
Yeah.
about? Like,
Yeah.
that's what I think is the best way.
So as we're going through the futurists, even though Renee has a hard time now that she's
I have a hard time reading a
she's left
paragraph.
that viewpoint and sees that now it is being quite absurd, same as that's the way I see it.
It's hard to unsee it, is it not? It's hard. It's really, and so I'm trying to be gracious, and it's really hard.
Yeah, but these are the kinds of things that Renee and I actually were teaching years ago.
Well, I didn't get that detail with it because I won't secure in it. But
Yeah.
I thought it was the future.
These are the things that you, if you're living in America at this time in history, these are the things we've all been taught in the churches. But this is a viewpoint that's only about 200 years old. At about 1830 is when it was first being developed and promoted by John Nelson Darby.
I knew it should not be that convoluted. I knew that much because God is not the author of confusion, and He would not have sent a letter that could not have been understood by the early church. And so, I knew something was wrong. So did you, but.
Yeah, I know that some of you probably, as you learn more about preterism and idealism and the other viewpoints, maybe you moved away from this now. I don't know. Let me know if you have changed your mind. But if you're still holding to the futurist viewpoint, we'd like for you to give us your feedback on this, and tell us why this should be understood that way.
I'm not against it even possibly happening again in the future, like this idealist thing. I'm not even against that possibility. That what's bothering me, Brother Luke, are the very specific like assertions that this is and this will be. It's like, no. I mean, that's not. We don't know that. I mean, it could be, but you could grow. Wheels and not bump your butt when you try to hop. I mean, I don't know. Things can happen, and we don't know what's going to happen. So when we make things that are like so like certain, but it's a future thing, it just bothers me because there's so many different views. You said there's so many different views of preterism, right? Or forms of it, and we know that because we don't agree on what the wound is, who the beast is, but there's the same thing with futurism. They'll tell you that the locusts are this, or the false prophet is this, or the two witnesses are two literal people, and they all differ. So the thing here is you may not even have been taught any of the stuff we just read in that futurist view as far as details go, but some form of it, something similar. Because I wanted to say, this is not a representation of all the minutia and different ideas of all the positions. This is just a generalization of how it's like interpreted in different mindsets. So within that, there's going to be a lot of variation. I just want to remind people this is not the only future view. There's some futurists believe that these things represent something else. I just wanted to remind them that on
Yeah.
all of these positions, there's variations.
But I would say that if you are within this group, let's call it, I guess, the Ruckmanite group, where the teachings of Darby, then Larkin, and Ruckman, whatever they taught about these things, that's the way it is.
Faith plus works in the future, and faith plus works in the past.
Yeah. I just saw one of them put a video up today saying, "This is how you got saved in the Old Testament. This is how you get saved now." It's different.
Why didn't you just stay like that? We didn't need a savior. He just got stricter on the law. Just get stricter on the law.
Right. Yeah. Shelley says, thanks for going over the details because this is helping everybody in a better understanding, Brother Luke and Sister Renee.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to move forward, Brother Luke, because I knew people were like, which beast? How many beasts? Why is this? I really wanted to identify because even I, who I'm pretty clear on who's who here, was getting what? Wait, what? So I wanted to make sure people were following because I don't want people more confused.
And Glenn says, I believe man will use the future view as a play to perform, like Egyptian magicians, you mean? Yeah.
Possible.
Okay. All right.
It's right for deception, So many people believe that. It'd be a good tool for anyone that wanted to deceive the population. Could do it.
Okay, now I'm going to read the idealist interpretation now.
Okay.
This idealist interpretation is been consistently held by a good part, probably the majority of the church throughout all of history. And they take it just very in a general sense instead of trying to narrow it down to particular individuals, particular dates and things that happened and places and persons historically, and being that precise. They speak of it in a real general sense that this battle between good and evil repeats over and over and over again throughout all church history. So
I'm fine with that, Brother Luke, but I still think it's important people understand this was sent to specific people about specific warnings about a specific event, and that if they don't get that, they'll think Jesus is a false prophet.
Yeah. I think that the idealist view is certainly true that history repeats itself. This battle of evil and good and all that it goes in cycles. But this letter was written specifically to warn people who were living at that time that something really bad is about to happen. It's imminent. Get ready. That's what it was really all about. Okay, so the idealists would say, the second beast supports the first, but is different in form and strategy. While the first beast is ferocious looking and terrifying, the second seems harmless, like a lamb. Its innocuous appearance is misleading, however, and like the false prophets of whom Jesus warned, it's like a dragon. Tell more about its nature than does its lamb-like appearance. The fact that its two horns are said to contribute to its lamb-like appearance raises the question of why. If it is a mimicry of Christ, the lamb, is it not depicted as having 7 horns, as did the lamb in chapter 5, verse 6? Beale suggests as a partial answer that the horns are limited to 2 in order to parody the 2 witnesses, 2 lampstands and 2 olive trees. The fact that this beast performs signs, particularly that he even makes fire come down from heaven, is seen also as a possible counterfeiting of the same activity of the 2 witnesses. Beale also thinks the 2 horns may recall the ram that had 2 horns of Daniel 8:3. Henriksen identifies this beast as, quote, the second beast is the false prophet, chapter 19, It symbolizes false religion and false philosophy in whichever form these appear throughout the entire dispensation. Wilson calls this beast, quote, false religion as the servant of the secular power, unquote. He writes, quote, in John's day, the beast operated through the priests who acted as the propagandists of the Caesar cult by aping in spiritual power which they did not possess in the interests of a persecuting state, unquote. On this point, Mounce and Ladd, usually in the futurist camp, agree with the idealist identification. Ladd suggests that this beast represents organized religion, prostituted for evil ends, employed to support civil power. Mounce writes, the false prophet stands for the role of false religion in effecting the capitulation of mankind to the worship of secular power. It is the universal victory of humanism. Yeah, that's kind of how I was kind of explaining it. Ramsey writes, quote, the province of Asia, in its double aspect of civil and religious administration, the proconsul and the commune, the two horns, is symbolized by the monster described in chapter 13. Hobbes adds to the picture, quote, it is easy to identify this beast. This beast symbolized the Roman commune or concilia. This was an official body set up in the provinces to enforce emperor worship. Of this body, Summers informs us, John and his readers knew what this imperial cult meant since it was better organized and enforced in Asia Minor than in any other part of the Roman Empire. It was composed of deputies whose duty was to build images of Domitian, altars at the images, and legislate in any way they considered best to enforce the state religion, unquote. Homer Haley writes, quote, however, a representation of this form of paganism probably does not exhaust its significance, for its spirit is reflected in all forms of false worship which followed, including the papacy and many other systems of false religion, unquote. This beast performs great signs in the sight of men by which he deceives those who dwell on the earth. The specific examples of calling fire from heaven and causing an image to speak may either be taken literally of actual tricks and ventriloquism performed by staged chicanery or as occult power. Since the dragon is behind it, it is possible that actual supernatural signs are intended. Though, as Wilson tells us, quote, the trickery of magic was practiced by all the religious charlatans of the day, unquote. Alternatively, they may be intended only as a symbolic way of saying that false religions will give various convincing evidences of their divine origins. This false prophet enforces worship of an image of the beast on pain of death. This imagery is taken from Daniel 3, where Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, required the universal worship of an image, probably of himself, or face execution. This identification is encouraged by the frequency with which Daniel's imagery reappears in Revelation and the prominence of Babylon as the major antagonist in both books. The most persistent anti-Christian religious and philosophical sentiments will be those that align themselves with nationalism and statism, all of which confer upon the state a godlike virtue. Dissenters are usually persecuted out of existence. Sometimes state religions actually represent their governments or rulers with literal statues, though the image need not be a literal statue. That just sounded an awful lot like the preterist viewpoint.
I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Also, this made something about the magic and stuff. I wanted to point out something. I'm looking for it, and then I'll turn my camera back on. You just said something, and I should have wrote it down because now I don't know where it is. One of the things with the futurists also say that the idealists say is this image, what statues and robots, and this to me, I'm not sure. I don't think this image is real in this world. I think it's only real in the vision. Like this, John sees an image that both speaks and does this, but is that what people see in the real world? No, they're seeing something else. This represents something. It's showing us behind the scenes that it's just an image. It's not real. And so why are they trying to define a literal image that speaks and all this stuff in the real world? You see what I'm saying about bringing, they'll take some things and realize it's a picture of something else, but then in the next verse, they'll take it as literal and try to figure out what it is in the literal world. That's not how we interpret this. That's how we get confused. You get what I'm saying about that?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying, right?
These images and the visions represent something.
Yes.
And it usually represents either a nation, a religious system, or sometimes an individual. But it's not to be taken that there was an actual literal image. The image is in the vision represents something.
Yeah. So why are they taking it to try to figure out what's this image that pretends to speak? Is it a statue? Is it a AI thing? Is it a robot? It's like, come on, this is in the vision, not in the real world.
But there are a lot of people who, when they read the book of Revelation, they don't even consider the fact. Maybe they're not aware of it, but even if they are aware of it, they cast it aside and act like it's not important. But this book is written in a particular style of literature called Apocrypha.
Yep.
And Apocrypha is written in a way that is supposed to be a dramatic representation of something to make a point.
Almost like the big Greek myths. Like
like this destruction of that city is going to be so much that it's going to be like the sky's falling down and the stars are coming on it and landing on it, and everything that is. People think that these are literal. They're just showing that, hey, this
but
is.
But they know it, but they go right back to it. That's what I'm saying. We know it's symbolic, but they forget, and then they try to bring it. It's so confusing.
Yeah.
Because we'll get messages, Brother Luke. It'll be, for instance, they'll fight you tooth and nail, and send me because I'm always saying, there's not one verse that talks us living forever in torment. So they'll bring the verse in Revelation where, and then the beast and the casted in, or death and hell, they're cast in, right? These writers, and where the beast and false prophet are tormented forever and ever, day and night, right? So they're literally thinking this vision of the beast and the false prophet being tormented forever and ever is literal, and they'll bring it over here instead of saying, okay, that's the vision. What does John seeing a beast and something burning forever and ever, what does that represent in the real world? That's what we're forgetting. Yes, this is what's in the vision. What does that represent in the real world? And that's why there's confusion, because we acknowledge it, and everybody that's doing this acknowledges it, Brother Luke. We know that because they're trying to tell you who the beast is, they're telling you it's a nation, it's a religious thing. But then on certain verses, they make it literal again. And I hope I'm making that clear with my words. They're not as clear as I'd like, but it's frustrating because I can't seem to. get it across other than to say, yes, that's what's in the vision. What does that represent? That's the only way I can bring people back to this is something in the vision that represents something real. So we just have to keep going back and forth to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any feedback from
I don't know where everyone is. I've never seen it this empty.
Wow, yeah, there's only 9
I mean,
people.
these are,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've never
So I
seen
don't
that
know if
people.
there must be something going on.
Yeah, maybe there is.
But
Maybe.
yeah, 'cause this is a serious study. I know sometimes people aren't up for it late at night, but I
Yeah, but
haven't seen it like this.
usually we have 3, 4 times as many people.
Yeah, so I'm wondering. I'm gonna check my thing and see if it posted because I was a little late putting it up. So let me see if it
Yeah,
posted.
yeah.
All right, I'm gonna find it, y'all.
Nate says
What do you think?
that's because we are the bestest 9.
Yes, you are. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. It's for serious study. So I mean, we have the regulars that are really digging in, but usually we have a few visitors that are just checking it out or whatever. So I don't know. I'm trying to. All right, I'm gonna look and see if it posted because I may have done something messed up here.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
No, it's up. It's up.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sheila says, I'm positive we're in Satan's little season. There's so much deception. Um, yeah, where I fall on all that, Sheila, is, and I watch all of those, Jason and JT and some others, was understanding conspiracies, all those different channels that are focusing on this little season eschatology. I watch all those, and I'm up to speed on all their teaching. And when it comes to believing that, okay, what we've said about the first century, that there was a destruction of Israel, the nation. Nation didn't exist until between 70 AD and 1948. There was no Israel. Okay, so Israel was destroyed, Jerusalem was destroyed, the temple was destroyed, Judaism was destroyed. Okay, but then I don't believe that Jesus returned and that there was a rapture, a resurrection of all the saints, and that all these saints lived with superpowers for 1,000 years, and built all these cathedrals and stuff. That's where they lose me. But so the kingdom period, the kingdom was started when Jesus came the first time, and it runs until he comes again, however long that takes. But near the end of it, there's going to be Satan is going to be released because he's only bound in this way. He's only restricted from presenting the nations from receiving the gospel. Satan can still do all his damage, and the man's sinful nature can do all its sinning and all that. There's all kinds of evil going on because with Satan, the enemy, and the sinful nature of man, so that the world is still dealing with all these problems. But Satan is finally released at the end so that he can now do something in this little season that I've always thought was probably a matter of days or weeks. I never thought of it as being years or centuries. But they think that it's probably like from 1776. They think that's the beginning of the little season until present time. And I don't think that it's been going on that long, but we may be in the little season. Maybe it has been going on for a couple hundred years. I don't know. But as far as the other stuff, where there was a resurrection and these resurrected saints lived for 1,000 years and did all that stuff to me is too much for me to buy into. But I do think that we very well may be into the final stage here, and if that's the little season, I think we're near the end of history, and the Lord's about to return. Renee, what do you think?
Well, I am fascinated. You were just talking about where's our buddy, Dr. Jason Jack, tonight?
Maybe
I'm
he's having
fascinated.
maybe he's doing a live stream right now. That might be why.
Maybe, yeah, the conspiracy guys have been doing some quite a bit.
Yeah.
I'm interested. I appreciate they have an open mind and are looking in these things. I am not. That's where they lose me too, with the mud flood and all that. I believe a lot of this was from the flood, and I think the kingdom period, we're ruling and reigning. He's ruling and reigning in heaven, and we're in him, and we're seated in heavenly places. And those that resurrected in the first century after his resurrection are with him, and they're the special saints that are, given this, time to be with him and ruling with him. So I'm keeping my mind open, but I'm with you on that. I don't take it as literally, like with the aurora borealis being the glory of God's throne. Could be, because we do say it's like emerald, and that is like a bright green emerald reflection in the sky. And the stories of Hyperborea and all of that. It's very fascinating. There's something going on with the two poles. I know that, supernatural, but I just cannot get on board with the 1,000-year literal kingdom. I don't know how they would cover it up that much. I think the paintings they were doing were not saying, look, we see these saints walking around today and they have halos and they're glowing. I think that was just an artist's interpretation of the glory of them. And because the Catholic Church ruled everything, and you could be tortured or killed just for looking cross-eyed, they were scared to do any art that wasn't religious or Catholic, or because they would put you down. I mean, even Christopher Columbus just saying he saw some lights in the sky over the ocean that in the shape of a menorah. Are you a Jew? Are you a secret Jew? And they were putting him in the Inquisition. It's like you can't even say anything. So I think the religious art was not because they saw saints walking around glorified, and I don't think that. I think it was just religious interpretation, artistic interpretation. So they lose me a little bit there too, Luke, where they lost you. I don't take it that literally.
Now, Nate, I'm not sure, maybe you can explain what you mean, Nate. He says the whole study, to me, politely, hinges upon insufficient biblical evidence based on one phrase that's forced into scripture, a right mess. Now, when you say the whole study, are you talking about the little season study or what we're doing here with Revelation?
The little season. He's talking about the little season.
And then you say one phrase. I guess the phrase would be the little season. Is that what you mean?
And Satan was released for a little season or something. But Brother Luke, we know that Satan was bound because Jesus said he bound the strong man.
Yeah.
And so we see in Revelation a picture of that. And once again, here's more confusion. Once again, in the vision, we see an angel with a key, and he just one dude, putting Satan in bondage, right? He's bound. Doesn't mean he can't do anything. It just means he can't overtly deceive the nations and keep them from knowing there's one true God, right? So we see Jesus saying he's already done it. If he hadn't done that, then he couldn't have stolen his goods. He couldn't go in there and kick these guys out. So we know that he was bound, at least from that moment. We see Jesus saying, I saw him fall like lightning. So I don't know exactly when that happened, but I think maybe when the Lord went to the mountain and, the Holy Spirit empowered him and he came back down. I think that may be what he's referring to. So we know that happened. So I'm not opposed to Satan being loosed for a little season being possible right now. That's fine with me. It's the fact that it's the kingdom was a literal physical thing on earth, because Brother Luke, we the lifespan, we don't have any record of lifespans being extended again. Remember, because 100 years old when they die, it's like they're a kid or something. Remember, in the scriptures. Now I don't know how literal that stuff is, but something is being taken from imagery to literal again, and I think that it can be confusing.
Oh, hey, Jason is here. He says, hi, been listening in car, just got home. Oh, good, brother.
Hey,
Great to see you.
Yeah,
Um,
we're looking into it. We're both listening. We're both listening. We agree with you on the little season, but the
yeah.
other thing, we're still listening about
Yeah.
it.
I want to know, Jason, did you see the conversation that they had? The guy that has the channel Understanding Conspiracies.
Hmm.
He was just a guest of a guy that's not a believer. He's not even a believer. He's just into um, I don't remember what his
Like
topics are, but
Nephilim or something, giants or
yeah,
something.
I forgot what it is. But it was just a couple of days ago. It was a conversation between the two of them. It was a fantastic presentation by the brother that does um, the Understanding Conspiracy
Hmm.
channel. He
The
did a
English
great
guy.
job, representing that viewpoint. And they had a fantastic conversation. I thought that was one of the best conversations I've seen on the subject. And at the very end, he almost had the guy that he was not a believer. He's that close to being a believer
Yeah,
now.
it's great.
I think he's really he was so intrigued by
Hmm.
everything that
Yeah.
he's really Paul Stobbs is his name.
Yeah, I think it's great.
It,
I think,
it,
some people came to be believers because they became flat earthers, or some people have realized the giants and the remains and the giant footprints. And yeah, there's a lot of people that have come to
yeah,
faith because they've been faced with supernatural, paranormal
yeah,
things. A lot of the UFO stuff is causing people
yeah.
to question it.
So Paul, he says it's Paul Stobbs. He
Okay.
says, was it on the Liberty podcast? If so, I did see most of it. Yes, I
Okay.
watched it on the Liberty podcast, but it was also simulcast on the um,
Understand
Understanding
conspiracy.
Conspiracy channel. So you could find it on both of their channels. But you did see most of it. Did you like it as much as I did? I thought it was a great discussion.
The guy from Understanding Conspiracy is a very pleasant fellow,
Yeah.
the English
Uh,
guy.
And he says, Little Season Eschatology has really brought many people to Christ in the
Hmm.
past year. There's good fruit from this
That's good.
teaching from what I've seen. Yeah, I think that is true.
Yeah.
It was very true. And he says it was good, really good conversation.
It never hurts talking about the Bible, talking about Jesus. It never hurts anybody. It's always
Yeah.
good.
Well, I don't think we can go into more scriptures because we're out of time, but
Oh,
let's kind of take a few minutes now to see if there's any. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say this. There's a prayer request that someone sent me on my phone on a text message, and it's Anthony Lamaglia. Everybody remember
oh
Brother
yes,
Anthony?
of course I do.
Anthony says he needs our prayers because he's coming under great spiritual attack right now.
Oh no, buddy.
So please, everybody pray for Brother Anthony to cast them out and just say, hey, uh, I'm not afraid. Jesus, I've got Jesus. I'm in Jesus, and you can't hurt me. Uh, any other prayer requests? How about you,
Also,
Lynn?
Brother Luke, sometimes people think it's spiritual warfare, and it's actually God preparing them or strengthening them through a trial. It's not always bad. Sometimes these things are to strengthen us or build us up for something God has for us. So don't get into despair.
Mhm. Um, Nate says Sean Ryan needs prayer seriously. He's newly Catholic and has guests on that are psychics, remote viewers, Catholic exorcists, Navy SEALs. It's a minefield. He has no discernment to navigate. So he just came to faith, but he's a Catholic. And what does he understand the gospel, Nate? Did you have any idea?
What was he before?
Because I don't know. I don't know if he. Hmm.
Was he?
He's newly
It's
Catholic.
rare for a Protestant to become Catholic, but I've seen a few of them do that. Probably because they're so
Uh,
sick of not having a
I'm
formal.
seeing a trend for people moving from Protestantism to Orthodox.
Yeah, because they want the structure. They want
Yeah,
clarity. There's so many different ideas and denominations that they feel divided. I get it.
yeah,
Some people really like that whole like atmosphere of ritual, and I get creeped out in Catholic churches. I had to go for my godchildren, to be their official godmother, and I creeped out. I don't feel good in them. It feels dark. It feels dark to me.
Yeah. Shelley says that she's going to send us a voicemail to listen to soon, so look out for
Okay.
it.
Okay, you got it.
Uh,
All right.
all right. Well, all I can say is my friend that has the drug problem. He's one of my oldest friends from back in college. So we've been friends for over 50 years. And he just went into rehab for the third time in his life now. And he got out and he's getting settled into a home, a place where he can get some help too. And so pray for him. His name is Willie. And pray for him that he can stay sober and really he's 6 months older than me, so he's getting near the end of his life, and he's not a believer, of course, not for lack of me trying. I've certainly explained the gospel to him and enough, but just pray that he comes to faith, but also can, in this last part of his life, he can get his act together and not have to get back into booze and drugs. Okay. Let me see. Pray for my niece Brenda. She's having a whole bunch of tests on her heart this week. She's had some issues, and now they're going to try to figure out what's wrong or if something is wrong. So pray that she's going to be okay. Renee, any prayer needs you want to bring up?
Yeah, I want to remind everyone to pray for Sister Kiera. We know she lost her dad recently, as well as that she's having a lot of issues coming against her. And we know the enemy attacks when we're at our weakest, usually in some kind of pain or sickness or loss. And it's cruel, but that's just the way it is. That's the way predators work. And we want to keep Anthony, like you said, and Dolores ask us to continue to pray for her adult children and their salvation. And I would like to pray for Sister Mona, who is having just finishing chemotherapy and radiation, and she's gearing up for another round of some kind of treatment. And it's been really hard on her. So let's keep Mona in prayer as well. And Daniel Valoff, my friend, the singer, he has throat cancer. We're believing a miracle for him. We're believing with him for a healing. And because all the other options take his livelihood from him.
Yeah, I don't see
and Daniel Stone.
I don't see Jay or Sean in here tonight.
Jay was in there.
You saw Jay Hines?
Jay?
I don't
Yeah,
remember
he's been in here
seeing
all night.
him.
Yeah, he's
Jay, are
up
you
ahead.
here? Let me know if
Jay
you're here,
Hines.
brother.
See, Nathan. He was talking to Nathan earlier.
Yeah, okay. I'll tell you what, in the last couple of minutes we have here, since we don't have any more prayer requests to talk about, we have just a few minutes left. I'd like to do something here. It'll be a blessing to everybody here. Let me see. Excuse me. Okay, let me share this. Share. Okay, here we go.
Look at that smile on your face.
Oh Lord, I need some faith right now, some faith right now. Oh some faith right now, some faith right now. Oh Lord, I need some faith right now, some faith right now. My heart is full of tears, and my eyes they won't cry. My eyes they won't cry. My heart is full of tears. My eyes they won't cry anymore. Oh Lord, I need some faith right now, some faith right now. My face is down in the dirt, and I can't crawl anymore. Can't crawl anymore. My face is down in the dirt, and I can't crawl anymore. Can't crawl anymore. But I've got to believe He hears my prayers. He hears my prayers. But I've got to believe He'll show me the way. He'll show me the way. Oh Lord, I need some faith right now, some faith right now, some faith right now.
That's great.
Yeah.
That is great. And Nathan was picking his Jay, did you record this in the bathroom? I like the hollow atmospheric sound of it wherever you recorded. I think it works.
Yeah. Well, what's wrong with recording in the bathroom if you have a great acoustic? Yeah, but even if you
it
did,
does sound like it. It does
yeah,
sound like an echo.
it could be. It's a really interesting sound. But not only do I love the message, but the emotion that he has in the song is just beautiful.
Yeah, he's crying out. He literally, I believed, he literally wanted faith. Like, I believe he was literally crying out to God, I need faith right now. So
Yeah.
I believed everything he said. That's the beautiful thing about art.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, everybody. This is Wednesday, so our next program I'm not sure about Friday. Look for it Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern time, the Friday night special. But I'm not, I might have some plans with my sister. So, but look for it, 50-50 chance. But we should be here Sunday, right, Renee? We'll be
Yeah.
here Sunday. So come and join us Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. Bless you all in the name of our great Savior, God, Jesus.
God bless y'all.